story of the strangest thing that ever happened to me.
The big crux here is you're saying there's a bizarre connection between the Fisher King Grail legends of the West and the Lord of the World, Shambhala, Agartha, Blackstone legends of the East. And then you say, well, what are these people in the inner earth like? Well, we also have this legend of the Nagas, and we have the Onus, the fish people, and we have the Hopis ant people. Obviously, all three different types of beings, but the commonality is that they're all from inside the earth, or they all live below the surface, let's say. Reptiles, fish, and ants all live mostly in tunnels or in just the water, but below the surface of the earth. And so this idea of half divine hybrids is pretty common. And I think that's pretty amazing. So I also just wanted to ask you about, in the follow-up series called The Flying Saucer and the Fisher King, you say that connection that I just referenced between the West and East in these legends will become more relevant to the UFO phenomenon as we approach the theories of Miguel Sorrento and the occult connection between southern France and Tibet. And I'm interested in this because I did a interview with director Richard Stanley, who directed The Color Out of Space, to bring it back to a Lovecraft.
Oh, really?
Thing.
Oh,
Yes.
man, I got to watch that.
So he is all about southern France, and he's done multiple documentaries about how it's a paranormal hotspot. He refers to it, I think, as the Skinwalker Ranch area of France, and he moved near Mount Segur because he had a powerful 4D experience with a woman of light. He saw this woman, became obsessed. Now he lives over there. And from his perspective, the native people of that area, the Occitans, I believe is how it's pronounced, they were genocided by the Crusaders, and the Cathars, who had a stronghold there, were killed off. The Wikipedia page for the Albigensian Crusade says that it was a military and ideological campaign initiated by Pope Innocent III to eliminate Catharism in southern France. At least 200,000 to almost 1 million Cathars were killed, and it's considered by some scholars to be an act of genocide against the Cathars, including the coiner of the word genocide himself, Raphael Lemkin. So I'm bringing this up because the Richard Stanley interview is one of my favorites, and he is sympathetic to the Cathars. But in your writing, you seem to be anti-Cathar. And I just want to know how you sort this out, how you could be on the side of the genociders in this case. I don't want to frame it like that, but
I will put it this way.
Yeah.
In my writings in the past, I have always liked to take a certain kind of, I guess, ideological framing and push that as far as it could go, especially in more of an intense Catholic phrase. I did that a lot. No, I am very sympathetic. I'm very interested in the Cathars, and it is very, very cool that he has this specific interest. So a lot, I believe, of this, or at least the beginnings of these ideas of the connection between, say, the Cathars and Tibet, come from, I think, one of the most fascinating scholars of the early 20th century, Otto Rahn. So Otto Rahn was, he did, I believe the name of the book was, it was Crusade Against the Grail and also Lucifer's Court. And so
Richard Stanley wrote an Otto-Ron book and followed the trail
oh
of Otto
man,
Ron personally to
man,
all these different locations and made a documentary. So you're about to enter a new world.
Yeah, I'm watching that. I'm watching that episode with him right after this. But I think a lot of it came with him. And then this idea of the UFO connection to the Cathars pops up a lot. Again, I hate to bring up, Mr. Miguel Serrano. I know he's a very polarizing figure for his more eccentric, distasteful beliefs. He also has some incredible, his religious imagination and ability to syncretize was even better than Rorick's. I'll put it that way. But he brings this up a lot, and this kind of occult connection, and he's the one who really focuses on it. There's a occult connection between southern France, the Provence region, and Tibet. And let me explain. You have to understand the troubadours. There is this troubadour tradition. Another guy who's great with this is, well, he doesn't bring the UFO connection, it is Ezra Pound. The idea of these troubadours in southern France who came up with these beautiful poems in this vernacular, which was, of course, go on to influence the likes of Dante and the Dolce Stil Novo, right? The sweet new style. I mean, Italian poetry would be nothing without southern France. You might be thinking, where the hell am I going with this? Well, a lot of these esotericists basically said that in this troubadour tradition of courtly love, it was this idea of simultaneous chastity, but this divine love, and they draw these strange kind of parallels to, say, Tantra in Tibet. It take a little longer, I think, than we have to explain the fullness of it. But the idea is there was this kind of golden thread, right, of this incredible. I don't like to use the term Gnostic because, just like pagan, it means many things to many different people. But it said there was this kind of incredible tradition of almost, I guess, European Tantra over there, of chastity, of this idea of love having this metaphysical value. And again, it'd take too long to explain the whole thing here. But it's really Serrano, from my opinion, or from my understanding, who really equates the two and says there were flying discs. I believe even in Wilhelm Landig's trilogy, the German who writes these novels about the Stranger Things, I'll put it that way. He immediately equates the Cathars with these flying discs. And he also, in his fiction, equates the two. The idea that there are, or Serrano at least, was under the impression that there were tunnels underground from southern France that linked to Tibet. So that was at least his belief system. And he came up with this very eccentric, if not fascinating, idea for their own metaphysics. A lot of it's probably his own ideas, but it's pretty interesting.
Yes. Can you believe it, people? A video clip and a peek into how that sweet THC sausage is made. For some people, I'm sure it's nice to put a face to the name, so I started making clips that are a little more YouTube friendly than the full show tends to be. Get the full show on any podcasting platform. I prefer to keep it audio only, so we have a more decentralized distribution for a controversial show, and also so I can edit out the ums and ahs and barking dogs and all the things that happen when a person records in their home environment. And then if you really like the show, you can sign up for THC Plus, and instead of 1 hour interviews, you get the full 2 hour interview for just $8. I think that's a better deal, more of a win-win than asking you to support the show by booking a therapy session or buying generic Viagra. It's getting weird out there, folks. So just go to the highersidechats.com or click the link at the top of any set of show notes, and all your wildest dreams will come true. All right? All right.